Hello everybody and welcome back to round number 19. And this time around we will have almost a win and in. I assume it's a win and in. It might get disrupted by a bubble afterwards. But we are showing you Andrew Wamboldt, who is at a 15-3 record, and historically 16-4 was almost safe for top 8. So if Andrew wins this, he should be in. And man, is he playing an interesting deck. He brought back an archetype long lost, which is Spiritomb Beast. Used to be kind of popular a while ago when Spiritomb came out, but that was a long time ago. But now, with Scoop Up Net and the Jirachi Prism Star combo, it seems to climb back into the meta. And yeah, Andrew's rocking it at a 15-3 record, so amazing showing so far. And we will see if he can keep on going versus Ippo Kito from Japan.
Yes, one of my all-time favorites certainly is like the one price Zapdos Beast, Spiritomb Beast variants. So I always love those kinds of decks, and yeah, it's going to be interesting how this. I can't imagine building a deck like this or playing a deck like this to such high success in a format where like everything has about 300 HP and takes extra prizes on you and one shots you on top of that. So yeah, it's crazy, and I'm really hyped to see how it plays out and how the deck does. I mean, hitting Dragapult for weakness sounds really good. And
it's not just Dragapult, right? It also hits Mewtwo for weakness thanks to Nihilego, and it hits Pika on weakness thanks to Buzzwold, so you at least have that going. And yeah, of course, if you wouldn't hit Dragapult for weakness, you could just pack up your stuff and go home, because that even when hitting them for weakness, it seems like a pretty tough matchup, since you have to get all Spiritomb and 3 damage counters and the Hustle Belt in the same turn. Otherwise, Dragapult will just snipe you down.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, you certainly have to plan your turns out well. You have to capitalize on those swing turns with the Ultra Beast, with the Nihilego and the Buzzwold to make up in the different matchups. And also, yeah, Spiritomb hitting Giratina for weakness could be relevant in this matchup at least, because our player from Japan is playing a Mewtwo Melamar variant, and having Psychic and Dark weakness against Spiritomb Beast does not sound too great. Let me see. Marnie, on the first turn, you usually want to set up, like Andrew would probably love to see a Jirachi and an escape board here. That's that's like your whole engine, and that has always been your whole engine, right? He is playing a Dedenne for safety measures, so he can get out of those sticky situations where he has nothing in his hand to draw. But yeah, you need a Jirachi to Stellar Wish into those supporters and keep all your pieces moving and get to the cards you want.
For sure. Not a good, not a good position for Andrew so far at all. And Giratina, of course, it's relatively hard. Let's see. Andrew does play the Jirachi Prism Star combo, I believe. I'll check it up once again, but I think that is the big difference maker in this matchup. Usually, if your opponent could spam Malamar's Giratinas thanks to Malamar, it was always really hard for Spiritomb decks to keep fighting in a matchup like this. But yeah, if Jirachi Prism Star is in Andrew's deck, he should be able to use that to capitalize. And yeah, draw extra prizes on those Giratinas and swing the price in his favor.
Yeah, speaking of taking extra prizes, we see actually a turn 2 Beast game. 450, taking out the damaged Giratina and taking an extra prize card on that. So that's also a way in which you can swing the price rate in your favor. And something else that is really notice, like that you can really note in this matchup, or really have to remember in this matchup, is that the Buzzwold Pheromosa GX with the Beast Energy actually does 60 damage. So you would be able to KO an Inkay and put 30 damage somewhere else, and set that up for a knockout later. So yeah, that's really something that you can utilize. And Andrew also drew draw supporter of his prize cards, so he's looking pretty good right here, taking out
Yep.
the Giratina for early prize advantage.
Yeah, and I did look up his list, and in fact he does not play Jirachi Prism Star, so this might come out to be a pretty rough matchup for him. Of course, Malamar Mewtwo has fallen off a bit, so maybe it's not something he expected, but just trading with those Giratinas can be really rough because they just knock you out so easily as a one prizer, and your deck is usually built to take advantage of weakness, take a few big knockouts, and win the game that way. And yeah, here we see Giratina's getting ready to be spammed, and we see Spell Tag, which is the biggest part of what makes this matchup so hard.
Yeah, I think you almost can't really afford to target down the Giratina. Because if you go after, like, they will just keep coming back, and if you focus them, you give your opponent the time to set up more Malamas on his bench. But if you target the Malamas, of course, your opponent has to refuel them, and the Mewtwo Malamar decks are not necessarily known for playing like the thickest line of melees. So maybe I think there's only like a 3-3 or maybe a 3-2 line of Malamars. So if you're able to target those down, your opponent might struggle to chain them and to recycle them. And then you can take out the Giratina once all the Malamars have left the board, or you have weakened your opponent's board position.
Yeah, and there's only 2 spell tag in Ippo's deck, so it's not the full Giratina Malamar build that used to give Spiritomb a really rough time and basically gatekeeped it out of the meta. It's just a splash in 2 Giratina, 2 spell tag, 3/3 Malamar. So this might be manageable for Andrew. And for now, he's using that Buzzwole Pheromosa to combat it and putting on some pressure, but of course not taking a knockout. It's not super amazing, and at least he's threatening the Ditto, so this way, even if it evolves into Malamar, if he manages to find a boss's order, he can take it out in the next turn.
Yeah, also you make it tough for your opponent to like select where they put the damage, because usually you just put it on Giratina, you don't mind. But now the Giratina already has 100 damage on it, and if you put the damage, like, it would be super bad to put the damage on it right here. But also if you leave it alive, then your opponent can just gust it up and put 30 on it when it's on the bench, and then it still gets knocked out. So yeah, nice play by Andrew here, calculating, like, he knows how how the damage counters would work out in the end, and that the Giratina would end up at this very spot. So
yeah, and
maybe
the Jinx
capitalize.
And the Jinx actually coming in pretty clutch by removing that 1 damage counter from the Buzzwole Pheromosa, since now it doesn't get 2-shot by the Giratina anymore. And then if he can avoid taking a knockout on the spell tag, it gets annoying for Ippo to take the knockout on the Buzzwole Pheromosa. So next turn he can also draw like a double if it doesn't get knocked out, he can draw like a double prize on the Ditto and the Giratina, or even if the Ditto evolves on Malamar and Giratina. That is, if he can find a gusting effect, and then he only has 2 prizes left and can probably take those on the Didane somehow.
Yes.
And yeah, Ippo of course doesn't have the best options to take the one-shot on this Buzzwole Pheromosa. Probably will have to put down a tag team to take the one-shot here. And that of course means that he has one of those Pokemon that Andrew's deck loves to target. And now he doesn't have to fight those pesky Giratinas anymore. He can just go in and take a knock and fight against those big tag teams.
Yeah, I think the Pheromosa Buzzwole certainly did its job right there. It initiated the price trade in a favorable way, and it forced the opponent, as you said, to bench their own GX Pokemon against which you trade. If you keep trading, you should trade favorably. But now, like, the Spiritomb caps at 220 with the Hustle Belt, and of course the Mewtwo will be able to survive at least 1 hit.
Yep. And and Ippo might be able to get the Miraculous Duo GX off next turn, so
that would be huge.
if he gets 2 more energies on it, it heals the entire board, and that would be huge. Healing the Giratina itself and the Ditto would be quite impactful and make things, yeah, definitely more annoying for Andrew to deal with.
Yes. The Nihilego hitting the board. The Tool Scrapper is super handy right here, removing the spell tag. So at least you don't have to fear that later. Yep. Like the Spiritomb puts so much damage on the board that you certainly have to fear certain attacks that can just wipe your board, or spell tag, which supplements that game plan as well. So
yeah, so
handy right there.
And if Andrew's able to get off an attack versus that Dedenne, that would be pretty nice for him. Also, oh yeah, the Fion. Oh, actually, he's not going for Fion, which is interesting. I thought that Fion would be pretty nice to target one of the bench Pokemon to take a prize that way, and then have the Nihilego ready to take to copy the Miraculous. Oh, actually, he can't copy Miraculous through. That's right. Since he already used his Jig's attack, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also, I like this play as well. It's like the potential of, like, if you hit. Okay, never mind. He's not. I thought he would be like hitting into it, into the Mewtwo with like 5 damage counter, or tried at least to hit into the Mewtwo with 5 damage counter on the Spiritomb and let the Shrine tick down. But now Andrew is missing an turn of attacking entirely, and that is just, yeah, super rough.
It's not amazing, but still, Ippo doesn't have an easy way to take to close out this game. He will probably need 3 more attacks, and once he takes the knockout on this Jirachi, Andrew can just use this Nihilego to copy Giratina's attack to do 260 and take the knockout in combination with the Shrine Punishment. But there's the boss order. I was about to say the only thing preventing this would be the boss order, and I guess Andrew didn't attack with. Yeah, I guess not attacking for Andrew would have been fine if he could have conserved an attacker. But yeah, the boss order now messing that up and making it relatively hard for Andrew to get the knockout here on the next turn.
Of course, Andrew knows that his opponent is only playing 1 Chaotic Swirl, so replacing a Shrine of Punishment will not be the easiest thing in the world. And also, getting off the Miraculous Duo for the full heal.
And the Horror Energy is actually quite big here, since those Spiritombs have a very low amount of HP usually, and if you want to do a lot of damage, which Andrew has to do, because he either has to take a knockout on one of the bench Pokemon, or knockout the Mewtwo this turn, but he definitely needs to take a knockout, because Ippo is in a position to close out this game in the next 2 turns. And yeah, the Horror Energy just makes it really hard to deal big damage into the Mewtwo, because it would also knock out the Spiritomb, and make... Yeah, and if the Spiritomb gets knocked out when attacking into it, Andrew will lose the game that way. So that is definitely pretty awkward for Andrew, and the Horror Energy might be the deciding factor in this game.
There's a great catcher though that could like allow you to get around the Mewtwo at least for a turn. Maybe take a prize on it Dedenne and then look from there. But yeah, if you don't take a knockout right, like this is why I said in the beginning, like, you have to capitalize on your turns and on your Ultra Beast turns, and if you're not able to do that, then the game becomes really rough, because a lot of the times just 4 Spiritombs are not really enough to deal with the entirety of your opponent's board. But
yeah, and usually this would be pretty fine if it wasn't for the Horror Energy. Andrew could just gust up with the Dedenne, take the knockout, let the Shrine get 2 more ticks, and then next turn he could do 220 against the Mewtwo, knock it out that way, and yeah. But for that he needs a Spiritomb with 5 damage counters, of course. So yeah, that makes it so awkward for Andrew now. Basically there's not that much he can do to prevent this, and Ippo will probably just attack twice and win the game, so I'm not sure what Andrew can do to prevent this.
Yeah, you probably would have to settle for 2-shot right here, but that doesn't do anything, because you just lose 2 games. So on the following turn. So
now
the Horror Energy coming in really clutch. So really nice tech, or like, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's attack against Spirit Jump decks, but it's definitely very impactful for this matchup, yes.
I mean, usually, Mewtwo Malama decks have played Special Energy before, like with the Aurora Energy and stuff, but usually it would seem counterintuitive to like include a lot of Special Energies in a Malama build, so it feels kind of, techy to me. Like, I think it only comes up in niche situations where the Horror Energy damage actually matters, but right here is definitely... ADP Spiritomb has also been quite popular, so maybe...
and Andrew, realizing that he can't do anything, just attacks into the Mewtwo and announces good game. Basically conceding the game by attacking where, he could have just targeted with the Denne, but he still didn't have any way to win on the next turn afterwards, other than Ippo putting down another Denne, which he had no reason to do. So yeah, nothing Andrew could do to prevent this. I think actually if he had just Great Catched for the Denne, then the Mewtwo would have taken a knockout, and if Ippo didn't replace the stadium and used this Mewtwo, he could have at least forced a tiebreaker game, I believe.
Because
since then,
out at the same time, right?
Yeah, so, and he did have a boss order, and I think he could have reached the 220, so I think that probably would have been a better way, but I'm not sure why Andrew didn't opt to do that, and then just concedes the game. Maybe I'm overlooking a way. Maybe Ippo could have just taken a knockout with another Pokemon, and Andrew couldn't have guessed it. But I mean, he did have boss order, so I don't know. I think he should have been able to force a tiebreaker game, running into the Horror Energy. Oh, actually, Miraculous Duo would have just healed up the Mewtwo, right? So it could have prevented it. Yeah, true.
So
yeah, so no way for Andrew to do anything anymore since the Miraculous Duo would just heal the Mewtwo. So Andrew had nothing to do. Yeah,
no way out there, unfortunately.
And so Ippo Kito wins with this pretty interesting approach to Malama Mewtwo. With just Horror Energies and Incineroar GX as a way to one-shot Dragapult thanks to its GX attack, and certainly an interesting build. Moving on to a 14-5 record, probably not a contender for top 8, but still in a good spot. And Andrew, with his very interesting Spiritomb Beast, certainly was facing a very rough matchup here. The Horror Energies for spell attacks for Giratina, so much dust would make it hard for him. And he fought himself back into a pretty good position, so that was an impressive game from Andrew. And of course, 15-4 means that he gets another chance at a win and in the next round. So yeah, fingers crossed for him to make it into top 8, so maybe we can show his interesting deck once again. For now, we will go to a break, and after some spots from our sponsors, we will also show you a picture of new merchandise that will be available in the Smash GG merch shop in the next week. So, hey everyone, and here we are with our merch. I hope you enjoy it. It will be available in the next week in our merch store on Smash GG. And purchasing some of these items will give you votes for the content creator voting, so you can get your favorite content creator into our invitational, and all the money will go to the prize pool or donations, so you can pick that, I believe. So give it a look, and I hope you like our designs. We have some very classical stuff, like just the Limitless hoodie, or we have the online series shirt with our logo, and some items that are reminiscent of online play, like a deck box, a laptop, stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty cool design. I'm certainly getting one for myself, and I guess if you like these tournaments, you can check them out as well. Also, we have some merch that hopefully you find funny. I think it's pretty cool, like the You Have a Good Deck shirt, because that's, we thought that's probably the most characteristic thing about ETCGO. Just people spamming the You Have a Good Deck button. So we both have a spam shirt for that, and we have just a shirt with it once in different nice colors. So I don't know what more to say other than You Have a Good Deck. Give it a try and check it out in our merch store.